the entire agri-food sector bears the brunt of the climate crisis.
Pour parler d'agriculture et d'Europe à la jeunesse.
Proteste der Landwirte zeigen, wie wichtig der stratégische Dialog ist.
La PAC, c'est plus du tiers du budget total de l'Union européenne.
We have to find a new consensus on the future of agriculture.
Hello, and welcome to episode 49 of the Food for Europe podcast. We're live at EU Agri Food Days, an event held in Brussels over 3 cold days in December. This flagship conference is bringing together stakeholders from all across the agri-food chain to hear about the EU's new mandate, engage with policymakers, forge connections, make their voices heard. The room is completely full. 700 people registered from 56 countries, another 3,000 online. Hot topics on the agenda: trends driving markets, real-world insights, food sovereignty and trade, competitiveness, digitalization, fair pay for farmers. To open the conference, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and new Commissioner Christoph Hansen make some strong commitments.
Since the dawn of times, you have been the custodians of our most cherished traditions and landscapes. And our continent's future depends also on a thriving agri-food sector. And this is why last year I invited the representatives of your sector to get together in the strategic dialogue on the future of agriculture. Since then, a lot has been done. Just let me mention 3 key outcomes of the strategic dialogue. First, you asked us to cut the administrative burden for farmers. And we are delivering on this with more flexibility, more incentives, more exemptions for small farms, and no more micromanagement. Because you deserve more trust and more time to focus on what you do best. Second, you stressed that farmers are often the weakest link in the value chain. And sometimes you have no other choice than selling your products below production costs. This cannot be. And third, in the dialogue you highlighted that the number of young people who choose a career in farming is getting too small. We must reverse this trend.
As Commissioner for Agriculture and Food, there is no better way to start my second week than here with you at the biggest event for agriculture and food in town, but also in Europe, and discussing with you what are the key elements of the future of our agriculture and food policy, a future that I want to shape in dialogue with all who have something at stake here, and I think that came out very clearly as well by the introduction of our President Ursula von der Leyen, that we need to go to dialogue and that we should stay away from a polarization that we might have had too strongly in the past. And now I believe it is the moment to listen, to innovate and build policies that continue to uplift farmers and rural communities. And here I believe that everybody here in the room has a very important role to play.
So in line with the EU's emphasis on engagement, this entire event is interactive. To kick it all off, the host asks us about our expectations for the day and to submit our answers on Slido.
Let's start to see some of your answers. So what are those key expectations for the day? What have we got? Actually, if we now could show, I can see that we've got the word cloud. If we can see that on, there we go. I can see the big word is networking. Wonderful. I can also tell you that growing there is information, sustainability, meeting and exchanging. There we go, fabulous. Preparing the future, a future vision, practical solutions, networking.
So with everyone revved up, the debates are underway. How to navigate modern agriculture, respond to food inflation, extreme weather, changes in consumption, imbalances across the chain. Catherine Gelin-Lanael is the Director of Strategy and Policy Analysis at DG Agri. She outlines the EU's commitment to a bottom-up approach.
What we are aiming at is having more partnership, cooperation and dialogue. So one initiative, the creation of a European Board on Agriculture and Food, a high-level advisory body, where there will be up to 30 people representing all the key players of the food chain to engage at strategic level among themselves and with the Commission. I can mention also that we want to take on board young people. So we want also to develop this youth dialogue so that we make sure that when we design our EU policy, we take into account the expectation of the next generation.
So throughout the day, it's made clear the industry has some serious challenges. Every day, 1,000 farms disappear across Europe, and half of farmers will retire in the next decade. So the EU has made it a priority to make farming attractive again. In other words, generational renewal.
Hallo, nun ein persönliches Hallo von mir aus
Meet
Brüssel.
Magdalena Esterhammer, a 33-year-old dairy and vegetable farmer from the mountains of Tyrol, Austria. She's also a farmfluencer, sharing her life across social media platforms. I come across her recording a video post for her 50,000 followers on Instagram.
To go back to Tyrol was a decision made out of love for my husband and the life in the rural region. I got to know my husband outside of the agricultural environment because I worked as a food technologist in another country. And Farmfluencer was an opportunity to talk with my colleagues about my new life. So what I'm doing here, I made photos and little videos for them. And then I also started to explain the different tasks. As a Farmfluencer, you give every task, every cow, a story. And the consumers love the stories. They love the stories from the products, the things behind it. As a Farmfluencer, you're a person who is a storyteller. You're a storyteller from your products, from your task. What are you doing the whole day? People, consumers, for example, don't know so much about agriculture. This is a very big problem. But I think Farmfluencers made it very easy for them to learn about farming in the different regions, learn about farming in different types of agriculture. I think we need the EU to make a big network of all farmers. I think we have to talk together, and it was very inspiring to talk with the farmers from other countries because we have all the same problems.
At the Youth Dialogue, chaired by Commissioner Hansen, we meet Katharina Schobersberger, Vice President of the European Council of Young Farmers. She's a 26-year-old piglet farmer and has flown in from Austria with her beautiful baby boy. She explains why it's important to bring young people into farming.
I'm convinced that it is very much known that young people bring a lot of innovation, new ideas. They are sometimes also more risk-taking, which also brings them into new sectors, being more innovative, being also more technically versed sometimes. So I think that the skills and the interest is actually there. What I believe has to change and evolve is also the environment around those people. So not only incentivizing to go into the agricultural sector, because as I said, the interest is there, but adapting also the aspects in the farming sector. So making it more attractive, creating a higher income for farmers. And now it is important that the EU is working towards one common goal, because the situation right now is that farmers not so much know in what direction should they go. Is it animal welfare? Is it more productivity? Is it sustainability? And of course, at one side, it should be of everything at once, but there needs to be this one goal and long-term certainty that farmers know where they can invest into and what pathways they can choose.
I also meet a 30-year-old farmer from the French Basque Country. Jean Thévenot is a representative on climate issues for European Coordination via Campesina, a confederation of unions representing small-scale farmers. He suggests ways to incentivize young people to choose a farming career.
We think that young farmers need a lot of different things. We need access to land, because obviously you need to have land to start working as a farm. So access to land is a big issue, and prices of land in Europe are actually rising a lot, and it's really difficult for young people to access land. Another issue is the issue of training and being trained. The social image of farming also might be worked on. Food sovereignty basically in Europe, in our opinion, means more farmer. We cannot have food sovereignty if we don't have numerous farms and lively rural areas. So we advocate not only for the replacement of farmers that will retire, but also for new farms to be created. That's our vision in Via Campesina. But apart from all that, I think the main question is the question of the revenue and the fair prices and fair wages. Because if it's not possible to make a fair life out of farming, obviously young people will not go in that direction. I was taking this example of some of my neighbors telling to their children, please do not become a farmer because it's a hard life. So if we don't change that, well, we won't find young people willing to involve in farming. So we really wait on the Commission on that specific point, which is fair prices and fair revenue for farmers. This is core for us.
Katharina from DG Agri found the youth dialogue to be one of the highlights of the event.
I would say when I listen to the farm influencers talking about what they are doing to explain their job, why they love it, what they deliver to the society, not only food, but also all the other services, and the way they talked about, agricultural policy and how Europe is supporting them. For me, this was fascinating to see these 20, 25 years old, young farmers excited about their job and saying to the others, you should join that job. This is fantastic.
Now it's time for lunch. We all heap our plates with salads, quinoa, lentils, chunks of parmesan, and other healthy European specialities. I then amble around the stalls, showcasing the results of the EU Agricultural Outlook, published earlier that day. Its policy relevance was the focus of a panel, including representatives from the US and international organisations. There are also several stands on the new Farm Sustainability Data Network, an EU survey gathering data on farms and its various uses for policy analysis and research, with 2 projects funded by Horizon Europe.
Main thing is to let people know about what we do in research and innovation. So we're bringing new knowledge, innovation and skills to farmers, but also to the consumers. And that's why we've been funding already for past decade, for 3 billion euros, I think, more than 550 projects. So many different key priorities like waste, soil, water, agroecology. Even now it's a new trend, it's urban agriculture.
I stop next at a display where John Helming is presenting the results of MindStep, a programme gathering data from 80,000 individual farms across Europe. This model helps analyse the effect of European policies on farming behaviours and farm management.
I'm from a farm, a small farm though, and when I was young I always thought there's only one industry important, and that is the agricultural sector. So that's why I got involved into agricultural sector, and now my passion is to improve data and modelling of the individual farm. What are his preferences and what is determining his behaviour. MindStep is about improving the data and models that are used by the European Commission for baseline and scenario assessments. We are focusing on the impact on the individual farmers. So we want to bring into this model toolbox, we want to bring in what farms are doing what and to what extent. The project finished beginning of this year. It ran from 2018 to 2024 then. And I think the results are used by the policymakers, especially the awareness that diversity between farms, and that not all farms are the same. So, and that they're different, that they behave differently. That is a message that I think that has already landed at the Commission.
It's now day 3. After my morning coffee, we're shepherded back into the main auditorium. Today is dedicated to digitalization. Evangelia Momora from DG Agri explains why.
In general, digitalization is a key theme of the EU Agri Food Days because it is actually a key driver for the sustainable transformation of agriculture. So the sector is found right now at a pivotal moment. So it needs to face the pressures for the climate crisis, for the biodiversity loss. Also, it faces the necessity to meet the food security needs of a growing population, and all of that while ensuring at the same time economic viability and social equity. So digitalization actually can help us in addressing all of these challenges. So it can enable precision farming, meaning optimizing resources use and at the same time minimizing environmental impact. It can ensure also market transparency. So this way we build trust with consumers, farmers, and businesses. Digital solutions also can bridge the gap between urban and rural areas. And moreover, the digital solutions that we have and also data sharing could lead also to a reduction of the administrative burden that farmers face.
Back in the hall, a panel discusses how diverse technologies are strengthening resilience and transforming the sector, from electronic tags for livestock to managing fires and floods, analysing soil quality, and even reducing paperwork. But a warning, a quarter of farmers have not adopted any new tool. Why not? The audience is asked why this aversion to new technology, and a word cloud appears on the screen. High costs, lack of knowledge and training, lack of connectivity, data overload. One phrase sticks out: I fear technology will replace me. Elie Tsiferou is the new Secretary-General of CEJA, the leading body of European farmers and agricultural cooperatives. She outlines the benefits of digitalization and how to realize that potential.
Digitalization is a key innovation that we need to have in the sector, and it is very powerful. It is a tool that can allow us to achieve what I was mentioning before, the balance between the economic and the environmental pillar of sustainability. So this is important for us being able to keep in the profession, but also to be able to respond to all the EU policies that have to do with reducing the impact of our activity on the environment and on climate. But as it has been discussed today, we need to go a long way in order to encourage adoption. Cost is a big issue, so we need to put there the investments, the support that is needed for the farmers to adopt. We also need to make these technologies known and understandable to farmers, because this is not the case today. And the farmers, are practical people. They need to really know what they are going to introduce in their holding before adopting it.
As the 3-day extravaganza draws to a close, I ask Elie and Katharina about their hopes and expectations for the future.
I think that agriculture has always been a key sector for the EU. I mean, the Common Agricultural Policy is one of the oldest common policies of the EU. However, in recent years, and especially in the last term, the sector was overlooked. So the ambience now has changed. We are starting a new term with a very positive outlook. So I think that after this hardship we have been through in the recent years, the economic pillar of sustainability is back to the attention of decision makers. So we talk a lot about competitiveness, resilience, food security, food sovereignty. We missed that in the previous years, and we need to think of sustainability in a balanced way between the economic, the environmental and the social dimension. So for COPA and CEJA and for myself, this is a key objective, to be able to go forward with policies that take into account in a balanced way the 3 pillars of sustainability, and to making politicians, decision makers aware of the need to have policies that are coherent, simple, implementable and understandable by farmers.
So my takeaway of this conference is, first of all, the stakeholders confirm that they want to engage with us when preparing the vision and then delivering it, implementing it. So meaning we need dialogue and build more trust and confidence, not just between policymakers and the stakeholders, but also among stakeholders, as it has been done with the strategic dialogue. I would say, second, let's make sure that we build more competitiveness across the food chain, starting with the farmers.
And third, of course, make sure that we also do a better job together to deliver better for environment and climate. Many of the topics that we have discussed over the last 3 days will be included in the vision. It will be related to competitiveness and profitability of the farming system. How can we ensure a better functioning of the food chain? How can we improve farmers' income, not just with public funding, but also from the market, from remuneration of ecosystem services that they render? It's also about how we help farmers to deliver better for environment and climate, with the CAP, but with also market-based instruments. This is going also to talk about how we work together, because I said this is an important thing. We don't want a top-down approach. We want a bottom-up approach where we engage, we create buy-in. So we don't want new targets and new deadlines. We want to engage and align with the stakeholders. So this is all about this in the vision. And of course, the vision is also a beginning of a process, meaning that this is not going to fix everything, but this will help us to build, the roadmap and support the conversation that we're going to have in the next 5 years.
So on that promise of inclusion, the 2024 EU Agri Food Days comes to a close. I leave the bustling venue sensing that though there's still a lot to sort out, there's a collective determination to get this right, to balance interests and policies, make life easier for those on the ground, connect people across the chain, and most importantly, take a holistic approach to growing the industry and safeguarding our rural areas. This is also our final podcast of the year. Our team at Food for Europe wishes you a tasty festive season full of homegrown European food. See you again in 2025.
The entire agri-food sector bears the brunt of the climate crisis.
Pour parler d'agriculture et d'Europe à la jeunesse.
Proteste der Landwirte zeigen, wie wichtig der strategische Dialog ist.
La PAC, c'est plus du tiers du budget total de l'Union européenne.
We have to find a new consensus on the future of agriculture.